Welcome to Defying the Odds. This is Dr. Crystal Ward, the founder of Greater Than Expectations. I know that you all are used to seeing the amazing Tiana Barnwell. Well, today she is our special guest. So I am going to bring her in just a moment. She's usually hosting and interviewing all of our amazing guests who have defied the odds as someone in the foster system, but we have not heard Tiana's story. And I thought it was a great idea. Tiana and I got together and said, hey, it's time for people to hear her story. So as we close out 2020, this crazy, crazy year, we want you to just hear a little bit about Tiana. And so I'm going to bring her or I'm gonna bring Tiana on in just a moment. So make sure that you like, share, comment, and engage with us this evening. So, hey Tiana, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Happy holidays, all.
Happy holidays. So, as you know how it usually goes when you're interviewing people. So, I'll just start it off. Tiana, the audience may or may not know, I put a little bit today. You definitely have been able to defy the odds. If people don't know, Tiana has been highlighted in Essence magazine. She Tiana has been on Good Morning America. She's doing big things out here in Dallas and advocating for our youth, and just young, a boss, and clearly defied the odds. And so we're going to get into all of that in a moment, but let's start with what is your story? Like, how did you end up in the foster system? Or before we go there, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in the foster system.
Okay, wow, that was a crazy introduction. You don't realize what you do until somebody tells it back to you, I guess. But I had pretty much, a great life growing up. I grew up in the Bronx, raised by my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and then I had an older sister, and a bunch of years later, actually, a younger sister as well. And I was placed into a branch of foster care called kinship care, which is when you're in the system, you're staying with a family member. So I was placed into kinship care with my aunt when I was in high school. So can't believe that was so long ago, but but yes, I was placed in care, and that was because I was molested in my mom's home. So once that came to light, just went ahead and officially moved into my aunt's house.
Interesting. I'm sorry that happened to you. And um, so what you just said, that's a lot. Like people do follow Defying the Odds. People may have never read the story that has been posted, and that's major. And so you were removed from your mom's home and you went into your aunt's home. And so, as you said, that's kinship care, which is different for a lot of people, right? Like a lot of young adults go into foster care and it may be with a complete stranger. And so instead, you had the opportunity to go in with a family member. How was that experience for you?
Well, I grew up and my aunt was always present in my life. At one point, of course, she's younger than my mom. So at one point, she lived in a family house. She was someone whose house I went to on the weekends, or, her daughter would come to my house on the weekends. She was always around. So there was no strange aspect about her. It was kind of like an extended stay because I would spend weekends there. I would spend days there at a time, go there for, certain weekends or certain weeks in the summer. But on the back side, it is pretty much a little similar to foster care as well. The required therapy, the required social worker visits, not being, even though I'm in a family's house and my life is kind of the same, not being able to spend a night at friends' houses because they have to go through a vetting process, which I never wanted to do because, I didn't want anybody to know, like, oh, well, I can't come to your house unless you let my social worker come and talk to your brother if you have one, talk to your mom, make sure there's food in the fridge and XYZ. So I still kind of had to go through some things. It just was more familiar because I was staying in a space that I had grown up in.
Interesting. So you were removed from the home, but your siblings were still there. So as you were, did you have the opportunity to still engage with your siblings?
Yes. So my sisters would come to my aunt's house. Unfortunately, it did put a little distance between my younger sister and I because she was maybe like 2 or 3 at the time. So she's not calling me. She's not texting me. All she knows is Tiana's gone. But as far as my older sister would come, of course, text, call. Our high schools weren't that far together. And the spot where we took the bus was kind of close. So sometimes we would be on the same bus or we would see each other in the area.
Nice, nice. So, to the audience, I was like, should I dress up? Should I not dress up? And I decided today to rock my, you may not see everything, it's my HBCU Walking Billboard t shirt today, which is another amazing nonprofit with their founder being Chanel Smith. Go check them out. The reason that I rocked this t-shirt today, HBCU Walking Billboard, one, I didn't have the opportunity to go to a HBCU, but Tiana did, and she is the proud alum of Spelman College. So can you tell us about that journey of being a part of the foster system and then still having the opportunity to go to Spelman, with that noting that not only were you able to go to Spelman, but you graduated, and the statistics show, I mean, seriously, there's a lot of people who go to college and don't make it. Nothing wrong with it, but they don't cross the finish line. And it's specifically with foster youth, the statistic is that foster youth graduating with an actual bachelor's degree is less than 3%. Single digit, 3%. So there's one statistic that says 10%. That's just some type of college or an associate's trade. But getting a bachelor's degree is less than 3%. So can you tell us about your journey to get to Spelman and then graduating as alum of the illustrious HBCU?
The illustrious Spelman College, the number one HBCU. Just want to put that out there. The number one. Some people tend to think it's Howard, but they're actually number 2. But going to Spelman was a journey in itself. And when I say journey, I mean like a journey from the beginning to the end. There were, hills and slopes, and then there were rivers, and then there were walking paths. So, by the way, because I was in foster care, and this isn't typical, because I was in foster care, my foster care agency actually made a decision to keep me in care until I graduated Spelman so that they could pay for it, which, is something that doesn't always happen. Foster care agencies tend to pay for you to go to state schools and city schools. And if you know the New York City schools and state schools, the tuition is anywhere between $2,000 a semester to $6,000 a semester, and Spelman is not that. So I'm super grateful that I had the opportunity to go to Spelman and not have to pay that much out of pocket. But getting into Spelman was one of the happiest days of my life. They send a blue envelope, and once I saw it, I just knew that my life was changing. I was going far away, and really that's all I wanted was to get away from New York, to go to Spelman. Spelman had been my dream school since I was like 7 years old. I used to talk about it with my family, with my grandmother. And before my grandmother passed away, she told me that she could see me at Spelman. So I really just knew that Spelman was where I was supposed to be. And actually being there was amazing. I gained the friendships of a lifetime, both at Spelman and at Morehouse. And then graduating was the actual happiest day of my life. Just saying that I was a graduate from Spelman College, walking under the arch to a sea of Spelman women and them welcoming me on the side, like, everyone wearing white. It made everything that I had gone through at Spelman and in life actually worthwhile. So I am a proud graduate of Spelman College. But upon graduating from Spelman College, that's when my foster care agency actually reached out and said, "Hey, Tiana, do you by any chance want to tell your story?" And I'm not thinking anything of it, Right. Like, sure, you guys put me through college and got me a laptop and sent me money. So yeah, I'll do anything. And I'm just thinking, hey, this is going to be like a local story in New York. No one's going to read this.
Mhm.
And I get a call. It was around Christmas, around Christmas time. So I'm at home for Christmas break. I get the call like, hey, Tiana, we got someone who wants your story. I'm like, great. And I keep reading it. I keep reading. I'm like, Essence. And so I'm like, no.
Not the magazine, Essence
I'm
Magazine.
like, nah. And that's what happened. So, getting ready to graduate, then being in a magazine. The article was written while I was still at school, and then the actual magazine printed in December of 2019.
Awesome, awesome. And so, how has well, actually, let's back up a little bit because you said something that was super important. You all may or may not have caught that Tiana said her agency decided to keep her and allow her to go to Spelman outside of a state school. One, that's a blessing. Then two, we've had someone on the show who talked about the fact that her caseworker gave her back to her parents right before her 18th birthday. So the exact reverse happened, right? That participant, that guest should have had rights to her college being paid for at that moment, but yet she ended up with a $60,000 bill because the system honestly failed her in letting her go back, not because she didn't want to go back to her mom, but if you've spent 8 to 10 years in the system, your college should be paid for. And so that in itself, I just want to put that out there, the differences in the system. And like Tiana's situation is a full-blown blessing and lots of things have happened, but yet there are other people where, one, nothing against the social workers or anyone in the system because they're all overworked and underpaid, but situations where things slip through and they may not have that same opportunity. But thankfully, you were able to go to Spelman and you were able to connect, I think, with a foundation and just some different things. What opportunities have you had, or networking, or how do you feel that being in Essence Magazine or on Good Morning America, how has this helped you build your brand and who you are?
It honestly helped so much. And the one thing that really helped a lot was I put it on LinkedIn, along with the fact that I was going to Goldman Sachs. And because of that, I was able to connect with the highest employees at Goldman Sachs. People, when I started, people were like, hey, how are you meeting with this person? How are you doing this? Like, one of my mentors had started something at the firm, had started one of the divisions at the firm. And just being able to have that leverage, have those people in my corners, networking because of that was absolutely great. And then even so far as Spelman recognizing it and then getting me onto the Rose Scott show because they were proud. So it really has done a lot. It's gotten it put a fire in me to kind of do more. Even if I didn't really have any idea what to do or how to do, but it really just put a fire in me to do more because I had access to these people. And then whenever I go somewhere, it's like everyone knows who I am, which can be good and bad, but it's something.
Right. And so the funny is people know who you are, but you're super humble because I remember when we first met, I didn't even know that Tiana was in Good Morning America until a few weeks back. And I'm like, what? Because Tiana has been volunteering for us and holding down Defying the Odds. And when we met, it was kind of like, hey, this is my idea, my vision. And I know that you were doing a few things with your own network of making sure that Foster alum were able to connect. So can you tell us, one, I know that you have a scholarship that Foster alum can apply for. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, Tiana, if you don't mind, you don't have to say, but how old are you?
I'm 23.
So Tiana is 23, y'all. 23 and doing all of these things. Tiana has a scholarship that that Tiana gives to foster alum. Tell us about that. 23. So it doesn't matter the age. You don't have to wait until you're 50. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The first year I did it, that was really hard, and some would probably say stupid, but but it was something that I needed to do. And I actually had some help the second year, but it just the knowing that only 3% of students graduate with a 4-year degree, it really bothered me, because that means nobody is telling these students that, hey, you can go to college, just stay in care, and you won't even be in a foster care home or anything. You'll get your school paid for. You'll be in a dorm. You'll have all these opportunities. And if they are not knowing that foster care is paying for their tuition, they're definitely not knowing about the ETV voucher, which gives them a voucher. It gives them money every semester. It gives them Metro cards if you're in school in New York City. It gives you a laptop because maybe you don't have one. And I know that I don't have the resources to give out laptops or pay for Wi-Fi or do that, but I knew that I could make a way, find one, to give something. And if this is money that you need for anything, like maybe you got to pay your phone bill, maybe you need a laptop, maybe you need something. So the first year I did it was just a test, and I did it only at Spelman, Morehouse, and Clark, because I didn't want to make it too big and not, and then I truly didn't know what to do. So I made it at Spelman, Morehouse, and Clark, and I ended up giving out, I believe, 3 scholarships when I only wanted to give out 1 or 2. So yeah, kind of stupid, but
No, that's amazing.
it was worth it. And this year I was able to give out 4. So and I had help from my friends. They were reading essays. Reading these essays, because I knew everyone at Spelman, so I didn't want to have to pick a winner. So they were reading these essays. They were helping me choose. They were giving me like, hey, this person should win because of this. This person can't win because of this, and I can't wait until this summer when I do it again, because now I have a better job, which means I can help more people. And I'm super excited about it. You don't have to be old, or you don't have to be Coca-Cola or Bill Gates to start a scholarship. You could just start it with $250, or or 100.
I love that because, so many of us, even as adults or business professionals, it's like, I got to wait until I have X, Y, and Z together before I'm able to do X. We have someone who's viewing now who has a group, Hey Go Getters, and it's about going after like what you have, like going after your goal, setting the goal and making it happen. And so even though you may not have had everything together, you were able to bless 3 young adults that first year and then turn around and bless 4 this year. So that's just, to me, a tip, word of advice to everyone. Is like, you don't have to wait until you have it all figured out. Start it now, and then you'll learn from that and you'll continue to go. But I know that for me, just knowing that Tiana has a scholarship that she's, whether it's $250, $500, giving what you can to help foster youth. And so if other people just did a little bit to help foster youth, and I do know that Defying the Odds, for my personal network, Defying the Odds and Greater Than Expectation has brought a lot of awareness to the foster system that people don't even think about, or they're like, I didn't even know. Like, we've had someone on the show that you interview who was double adopted. Like, people are like, what? People can be double adopted, or, people being abused while in the system. And so there's so much. Is there, first of all, what made you want to help with Defying the Odds? I know that we met through Brianna July. Shout out to my line sister, your Spelman sister. But what made you want to, when you heard the vision, go ahead and run with it? Because y'all, Tiana does everything for Defying the Odds. She reaches out to participants. She sets up the meetings to, make sure they have the right lighting. And it is so helpful to me. trying to just get the rest of Greater Than Expectations up and running, that I don't have to worry about it because I feel you're just as passionate about it as I am. So what made you want to be a part of that?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I always wanted a podcast. And when I heard about this, I was like, this is right up my alley. And this is attached to something that I'm not building anything up from scratch. I'm not going out and trying to find everything, and that was kind of something that was delaying me. So talking to you, I was like, oh, you want to do like a show or a podcast? Yeah, of course.
Let's do it.
That's what I wanted to do. It doesn't matter how you get to your dreams. So I knew that this was something I really wanted, and you were doing it. So I just wanted to be a part of this. And just quickly, Carolyn.
I saw that. That was my next thing. They're asking, how can they support Tiana's scholarship? Give them the deets.
Hey, you can always donate. Donations mean more scholarships. And even if your donation is not monetary, you can donate time and read essays. It's all up to you.
Where would they donate? Is there somewhere, and that you may or may not have the answer to this, or like a website or the Cash App? Let's make sure that we get that information out. We know that it may not be all set up the way Tiana wants it to be set up, but if they want to donate, let's make it happen. Or we can put something in the playback.
We can definitely put something in the playback. I actually canceled my website subscription because I didn't like it anymore. So I was gonna hire someone to actually do it. That's my best friend Simone. She's a teacher, so of course she's ready to read. But yeah, we can put something in the playback. For now, it's really just PayPal or my Cash App, and that's really it. And if you want to donate your time, then when the essays roll in, it's just like an assigned number of reading, and you just give me your final one. If there is no final one, then that's fine too.
I love that. Karen, we're trying to go where the money resides. We want to give these youth the money. Okay. I love that Whitney Sarita, she was a guest on this show as well, and she said she's ready to support. And so that's what it's all about, is bringing awareness and helping the next person. So even though we don't have it all figured out, I'm just personally grateful for your dedication to connecting foster youth. For those that don't know, Greater Than Expectation was able to give out college kits this year to scholars across the United States, and a few of those scholars came from Tiana because they were award recipients. And so we were able to send off collegiate baskets with some of the necessities that they need, but that was all in, Tiana stepping up saying, hey, I have some scholars that you all could help. And so you're just doing amazing things. Let's talk about, what would you tell, actually, as I see Amber is on the line, and Amber was a guest on the show. So I've seen Trina on here today. So we've had Trina, Whitney, and Amber, all former guests of Defying the Odds. What have you learned or about yourself, about the system, or something that just made you grow from being the host of Defying the Odds?
Well, one thing, it reaffirmed my thought that the system was shitty, if anything. But just knowing that there's a whole network of individuals out there, just being able to talk to them. I'm fortunate enough to interview these people and ensure that they're sharing their story. So just learning their stories and seeing how far they've come, because these are people who are, in their careers and really in their lives. And I'm looking at it like, oh, wow, that's going to be me one day. Like, I can't wait, it just makes me really happy.
Awesome. So the system is messed up. That is absolutely something we have learned from this, but we're doing our part individually to make it happen. And so I appreciate you. What would you tell a youth that is watching this. Like my hope, my goal is right now, this is the first time we were able to broadcast live via our YouTube page. We're broadcasting via our Facebook page, which is where we normally do, but our goal is eventually to have these play back so that foster youth who are currently in the system can say, well, goodness, if Tiana did it, or Trina's out here going to be a millionaire before 35, Amber is graduating with her master's soon. Like, they're seeing these people who were in the same system. Glow is debt free. You know, seeing these people able to defy the odds no matter what it was. As you said, you were molested. We've heard stories of others being molested, abuse that has taken place. There's lots of things and various experiences that they go through. And my hope and prayer is that they are able to see, if somebody else was in this seat and they were able to achieve, there's nothing stopping you from doing it as well. You got to find that mentor, you got to find that support. So what would you tell a foster youth that is currently in the system right now, just wanting to give up? No hope?
I just want to let them know that, you know, it's okay. Everything is going to be okay, and you will make it. You will continue, you know, even if you have to take it day by day or smaller than that and have to take it minute by minute, you will make it. I remember seeing when I switched doctors, I had to go to a foster care doctor, you know, within the social work building. And the doctor assistant on my first visit there was a graduate of Spelman. And it when I went back while I was at Spelman, it was just like a full circle moment, because I was like, wow, you know what? Like, who? Because this, I saw her in a point where I was ready to give up on Spelman. Like, so I just feel like you guys are seeing this. You're seeing me. You're seeing Trina. You're seeing Whitney. You're seeing Amber. You're seeing everyone. You're seeing everything. And I'm hoping that this provides a light at the end of the tunnel, or a silver lining, so that way, you know, like, you can see it, you can be it.
Awesome. I love that. What's next for Tiana? Like, where do you see 23 with someone said earlier, an old soul, right? Like, very mature, very wise. We're going where the money resides. We're trying to get there. Outside of the money, where does Tiana see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Or what is a goal, an ultimate goal that you have?
I would definitely love to share my ultimate goal in case someone sees this and can help.
That's right. You never know.
But my ultimate goal actually is to start a small chain of hotels internationally, and use about 20% of the revenue to come back to America and put it in the minority communities, like the projects that I grew up in, or just random projects, so I can build art galleries and have students do something other than go play with a basketball, so that they know that there's more to life than the projects. There's more to life than what they see every day. And I just want to put money in those communities. I want to build resource centers so that way they can have someone look at their resume. You know, it's hard to get up and take a bus and a train to a library or anything like that when there's nothing in your community, and you don't see any stores owned by anybody that looks like you. So I want to change that for the future, for the younger generations, because when I was growing up, like, of course I see my family and my friends who looks like me, but when I went to the store, it was owned by the Indians or the Asians or the Hispanics, but it's wasn't owned by anybody Black.
I love it. So let's just make sure we have it. We write it down and make it clear. You said you want to one day have a line, a chain of hotels that are international, and a percentage of that money would then go back and support Black communities and supporting those entrepreneurs, so that young adults, like what we used to be, can see people that look like them. I mean, what?
Yeah, I think you really got to start somewhere. Like, one thing that I do is I do free resumes. I don't charge for resumes, and and I do very, very, very amazing resumes, but I don't charge anyone because the resume is something that you need to get a job, to change your situation, and I think that's something that we need. And I hate that people are out here charging $200 to look over a resume, but I understand, you need to pay your bills too. But you got to start somewhere.
You know what, Tiana, let me talk about that really quickly because, while you're doing resumes, I love that HBCU walking billboard. Go get your shirt, support the cause. They give scholarships and they give training and sessions to young adults who want to go to HBCUs and just colleges in general. So go shout out and support them. But with that being said, I personally have a pretty nice network, and I have a passion for helping young adults with life after high school as well. And people say all the time, you're always helping people. Why not charge? And for me, it's not about like the money in it. It's like, I really want you to have something else after high school. Whether it's college, whether it's a trade, whatever it is. And so that's knowledge, because the people that I want to help are Black and brown and look like me. So I don't really want to charge them for that, right? And so everybody is in the new Clubhouse, the craze, right? Everybody, we won't go into too much about Clubhouse, but if you're not on there, you're missing out on tons of networking, right? And in one of the groups that I was just in the other day, just learning about building your business, because I want greater than expectations to grow. I want us to flourish. I want to be a household name across the United States, and if not even the world. And one of the things that one of the people were talking about is sometimes, and this is to those that are in the audience, sometimes you do just need to do things for free, because people will say, Tiana is amazing, out here giving out free resume tips because she wants to see people doing well. And then in turn, because Tiana blesses people, I want to help bless Tiana. And so I think that for those that are listening or thinking, it's not always about the money, even though, as Tiana said, you got to go get the money. We want to be where the money is, but just know we don't have to charge for everything, because ultimately we're trying to just empower the community and empower our people. So you're just doing amazing things. And as Chanel said, the opportunity gap is real, right? Like, we have to expose people. Tiana, you were a part of a program, or you had the social workers that looked out for you. Someone on our board, I won't say that person's name, but they're foster alum. And when I told them about the statistic of foster youth, 3% having a bachelor's, this person also has a bachelor's. And they're like, how does that happen? There are so many organizations throwing money. And I'm like, this person was in Upper Bound. I'm an Upper Bound alum. So we were prepared. You had people pushing you, but what about those other babies? Not having that, as Chanel just said, that opportunity, that gap there, that exposure and that support, which is so, so, so important.
Yeah, it's really important. But one of the ways that I try to help is to give back, whether it be by hosting Defying the Odds, or I'm currently on the board of a nonprofit in New York that is centered around making sure youth on the verge of aging out of care have the tools and resources that they need, whether that's tutoring or coaching, that they just have it, because it's not something that's guaranteed once you really age out. And then also, I'm not sure if anybody's in Dallas, but Dallas CASA, which allows you to be a court advocate for youth that are in care. My little baby is actually just a baby. She's younger than 5, and she's absolutely amazing. So being able to be here and help whenever is necessary is really, it makes me happy. And this is something that you can do in Atlanta, New York, Dallas. CASA is something that is national. It might be called something else wherever you live, but that's a great way to volunteer.
So just because I have had meetings with Dallas CASA, and I know that, it's in Kansas City and things of that nature. Explain a little bit more. I get the backing of it, but just in case someone is like, man, how can I help? How can I, outside of greater than expectations, outside of your scholarship, with CASA, when you say my little girl is less than 5 years old, right? Like, explain to them like your role in helping to make sure that, because your say and what's going on can sometimes determine final placement and things of that nature.
Yeah. So when you're in foster care, nothing is really, there's no stability. Everyone is temporary. You might get moved around 5 times. You might live with your brother and your sister and then you're gone. So your CASA is somebody that will always be there from the start, from when you get placed into care, like, well, kind of before you get placed into care to when your case is done. You're that one face that's always there at every single house, at every single court date. You're advocating on their behalf. You're taking them out for ice cream. You're bringing them, a Christmas gift or something. You're letting them know that you're there for them. And it's important because it's that one stable factor in their life when they might not have anything else. It's that one person that they look forward to seeing. Doctors change, placements change, as I said. And being a Dallas CASA is advocating on their behalf. So if you notice something about their placement, maybe letting the judge know, she was happy and healthy at this home, but everything has changed since she got to this home. Or maybe it's, hey, I see her mom constantly trying. If you're agreeing to send her back to her mom, I think that would be a great idea. I think mom can handle it now. Or maybe it's, hey, I've seen mom spiral. I was there when it happened. I witnessed it. I don't think that it's a good idea for you to return this child to parent. I think that this child is happy where they are. And you're really just a voice speaking on behalf of the child, because a lot of the times the child is removed from that conversation. So you're really just like talking with the judge, talking with the lawyers, like, hey, this is what I noticed, and you're writing up like, all right, XYZ happened today. She had a bruise. She didn't have a bruise. He was uncomfortable. He had bug bites or something like that. You're really just letting everyone know what you see. Because sometimes, even though the child is supposed to be the center, sometimes the child could be overlooked, and that's what CASA is here for.
So, and I absolutely love that because I had not heard about CASA until I was grown. Literally, right before I moved to Dallas was my first interaction in hearing about CASA. And so, again, it's not just about greater than expectations. It's how can you do your part in helping out. And so, whatever that is, get involved. And so, check out the CASA that's in your area if that sounds like something you want to be a part of. Because when I met with CASA, basically the reason that it was founded in the first place was because of like other situations that we've interviewed. Things slip through the cracks. We got social workers who got 150 kids on their caseloads, and nothing against them. They're doing the best that they can, but there's not enough eyes. And if there's so much change all the time, then things can slip through the cracks. And so that's why CASA exists. And I'm just grateful to know that you're a part of that. I know we're over the 30-minute time, but I'm just curious if anybody in the audience has any question that they would like to ask Tiana before we wrap up. So I'll give a few moments. If someone has a question, we can pop it in and ask. Yes, yes, yes. Wraparound services are so important. So we'll see.
It really feels good to give back. In whatever way I can, whether that be CASA, Defying the Odds, the scholarship, or just, I had somebody reach out to me once the Essence article dropped. And what they told me, I just never would have guessed that something, that they would be able to relate. And it's like, oh, wow, we have this in common of all things. And it kind of has become that, like, people, hey, I saw you before or something like that, or just people randomly reaching out and thanking me. And it sucks because I still feel like I'm not doing enough, but that kind of makes it worthwhile.
Awesome, awesome. So I didn't see any questions come through, so I'm assuming that everyone has maybe heard what they needed. Is there something that you would like to leave us with, either about you, about life in general? Some final. Oh, we got a question. Thank you, Amber. The question is, what would you tell an adoptive parent about what they just did as far as adoption? So, what tip would you give a parent who wants to adopt?
Well, first, if you're adopting a baby outside of your race, please make sure they know their culture. Don't take that away from them. But also, some kids in foster care, with a CASA advisor, sometimes they get adopted. So just letting them know, like, this child has been through X, Y, and Z. This is something that we're working on. This is something that the child is in therapy for. Just making sure that they have a plan. Like, you don't want to neglect the needs of the child. You don't want to just try to give them a hard restart like nothing else has ever happened. You want to make sure that you're there for them. You're listening to them, because children express themselves in various ways. You might think that it's a temper or something, but it's really just them expressing themselves. So I think it's very important to just pay attention to your child. Make sure you're talking to them, encouraging them to speak with you, to just be able to have a level of open conversation.
Awesome. We had another question come through, which is, how do children or youth submit for your actual scholarship?
So I open it in like July. I just make a Google Doc with some questions. Very, very easy. It's like 250 words. And I put that link on my social media accounts. And then they have until like August 1st or August 5th, whatever day, to fill it out. But it's fairly simple, just a Google Doc.
Awesome. But they need to follow your social media for that, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. We can probably put that in the comments after, so that people, if they want to join, or if you have different social medias that you want people to join versus the ones you don't want people to join, and we can advertise that info.
We don't want to mix those up.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much, Tiana, for being a force to be reckoned with at the young age of 23. The struggles that you go through, right? The issues that we have are all a part of a testimony, right? So it wouldn't be a testimony without the actual test. So
right.
your story, your experiences, the success and the challenges do nothing but bless someone else. Thank you for taking on the responsibility of feeling like there's always more to do, which it is, but don't get caught up in feeling like I'm not doing enough, because you're doing a lot, and you inspire and motivate so many others. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for truly taking Defying the Odds and running with it, and being a support to Greater Than Expectations, as we have been in our inaugural year. We're just trying to do our part, and we don't have it all figured out. And you help to make a piece of the puzzle so much better. And I just want to thank you and give you your flowers while you're here. Thank you for sharing your story, for the world to hear. Just thank you for being amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a happy holidays. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. Sleep in if you
can. Happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. Whatever you do, enjoy it and be COVID safe.
All right. 6 feet, guys, and a mask.
6 feet and a mask. Well, thank you all for joining. Feel free to like, share, comment. You all bring people to Greater Than Expectations. There's so much more going on. I can't wait to announce the big things that we have going on in 2021. So make sure that you are, you like our social media. Everything is Greater Than Expectations on our IG, on our Facebook, all of that good stuff. Make sure you're following, because of course there we'll post about Tiana Scholarship when the time is ready, and we will continue to pub and support the people who've been on Defying the Odds as well. So thank you, and you guys